It is a good day to be a Vinland Saga fan. Not only was this a fantastic episode, but we also got a chapter of the manga today. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil that in this video, but if you are following along with the manga as well, chapter 201 came out, and I also reviewed that in its own separate video, which is also on my channel, just uploaded before this one. So if you want to check that out, that is also available. But if you're here for Vinland Saga Season 2 analysis, Episode 16, I honestly thought that this episode was going to get to the end of Volume 6 of the manga. I could have sworn that we were going to get there, but there is a little bit too much to be crammed into one episode, and part of me is kind of happy that they're saving the rest of this volume for the finale. But it does cover chapters 84 and 85 and doesn't really add anything specifically new within the anime material other than a little bit of characters kind of recognizing things or different shots that aren't in the manga, but no significant changes in scenes or dialogue. But this is still dealing with the drama that is happening on the farm and Gardner. And of course, where did Gardner go? He killed a bunch of people, he's severely wounded, but he seems to be missing and nobody can find him on the farm, which seems a little odd. Well, Arneid actually took him to Svedkel's hut and is hiding him literally underneath Svedkel's bed. But it also makes sense because I would imagine that Snake and the guards would have searched this place, but Svedkel has such a status and reputation and just he's the kind of guy that no one's gonna mess with. So no one's going to move the sick old man who used to be the head owner of the farm, who has the highest seniority on the farm. Nobody is going to move him out of his bed so that they can move the bed to check underneath it. So it actually is an incredibly ingenious place to hide him. The only thing that would have been really scary about it is that Gardner is unconscious. So there's plenty of opportunities for Gardner that would, he'd like breathe too loud or cough under his breath or regain consciousness and ask where he was. So there's like this constant fear, no matter what, that at some point in time he's going to wake up, or if he's going to wake up, because he's not just wounded from before the fight, but he also got wounded again while he was killing all of Snake's men. Even though that scene was off screen, it's mentioned that he got wounded once more. So this man is fighting for his life. He's going on pure chaotic energy right now, just pure survival mode. He was already severely injured before he fought Snake the first time, before he was captured. Then he was injured again. So this man still hanging on to life is actually kind of a miracle just in its own right. And then you have Arneid's perspective, where she is just in such dire straits. You know, she breaks down in front of Thorfinn and Einar, and I really feel so bad for her. Not just the fact that, she thought her husband was dead. He came back. She had to decide in a split moment if she was going to help him or not. Had to watch him kill a bunch of people. Had to watch him get injured again. She's pregnant with her slave owner's child, which she hasn't even brought that up to him yet because he's unconscious and dying. And Snake is here specifically waiting for Gardner to show up so that he can kill him. Like, this is such a horrible situation for Arneid to be in. And, of course, with, Thorfinn and Einar and Arneid have kind of developed a bond and a friendship. And even though Einar kind of had his little crush on her to begin with, this is bigger than that. There's bigger things going on here, and they want to do the right thing and help her. And that's kind of what a lot of the crux of Vinland Saga comes down to a lot of the times, is trying to decide what the right decision there is to make. And oftentimes in life, even though there are better decisions you can make than not, oftentimes in life there is no real right decision. But you have to make a decision. You can't be indecisive all the time, because then things pass you by, things and events happen, and then you are just subject to wherever the wind blows you, instead of making your own decisions and standing on those decisions. And I think that this episode is really focused on that decision. Like, what is the decision that you're going to make? It's not necessarily going to be the right decision, because sometimes there isn't a right decision. Sometimes you just have to act in the moment. And that is what happens when Einar and Thorfinn decide to help Arneid escape with Gardner. And that's also what happens at the end of the episode, where Thorfinn has the vision of Askeladd talking to him. Now, obviously, they come up with this crazy scheme to get Gardner out of there, where Einar is going to dress like Gardner. They're both gingers, so I relate to that, man. Hopefully, I hope I'm at least as badass as Gardner someday, or at least as charming and genuine as Einar. I probably never will be, but it's nice to see some ginger representation regardless. So he dresses with the cloak, as Gardner. That draws their attention away and has them chase him, even though they're on horseback. He's got a good distance, but like they're going to catch up to him eventually. You know what I mean? But during the chase, I love that Snake is not a dummy. Like, Snake is really, really intelligent, and he's been through shit like this before. Like, he knows, chasing him, that this guy is running too straightforwardly and too perfectly for a guy with injuries. A guy that's been stabbed and sliced a couple of times is not going to be running this fast, and he's not going to be running with this amount of, like, energy behind him. Like, something is weird about this. And so he decides to just have his men chase this guy down, figure out who that is. I'm going to go back because something is not right. And it was his instinct then that allowed him to discover that, right? So he's on a pretty high fucking level. And then you get this moment, this scene, and I was waiting for this, and I was so upset when the episode ended because there's so much more to this. Like, there's so much more that's going to happen here. And of course, it ended right when Thorfinn, like, puts up his fist, man. And I was just like, I mean, great cliffhanger, but I was like, because I know what's happening next, I was like so on board, and then it cut, and I was like, you son of a bitch. It just made me so mad. But this is it. This is a test, and there are many, many tests that Thorfinn will have throughout the rest of the run of Vinland Saga, but this is a moment. Now, he's trying to do the right thing, but also there are so many different factors within this situation. Snake has lost a lot of his men. Many of his men were killed. Snake also has the responsibility of being the security on the farm. Not only did he fuck up by allowing this escaped slave to enter the farm, he also fucked up by not dealing with the threat immediately, and as a result, a bunch of his men got killed. It makes sense for Snake to be where he's at. At the same time, Arneid and Gardner were a married couple that were torn apart by the spoils of war and became slaves, something that shouldn't have happened. Arneid is in an extremely horrible position with being pregnant with her slave owner's child and being estranged from her husband and just wanting to be with him again. This kind of semblance of maybe there's a potential we could still be a family in some way, and Thorfinn wants to help her. And so you have this conflict where both sides make sense, and Vinland Saga doesn't present things often in a way where it's good guys versus bad guys. And that's one of my favorite things about the series and the manga, is because every character that it has, protagonist or antagonist, you oftentimes understand where they're coming from, and they're nuanced to the point where all of their decisions make sense based upon their experiences. So to me, Vinland Saga is one of the most well-written stories when it comes to characters, because it doesn't it presents its characters very honestly. It doesn't try to say, you need to hate this character or you need to love this character. There are characters that do horrible things that you love for other reasons, and there are characters that do really good things, but then they have dark, horrible pasts or have made some horrible decision. Thorfinn has killed a bunch of innocent people, but here he is trying to do the right thing. Snake is trying to do his job. Like, there's so much nuance here, and that's why I really, really love this moment, and how the tension is so high. And the tension also gets built up even higher because Thorfinn has just made his vow to never fall into violence again. After he punched the farmhand member, he said, that was it. That was it. I'm done. I'm not going to resort to violence ever again. And now he's thrown into a situation where it's like, well, what do I do? You can't talk Snake down. Also, he's a slave, so he needs to obey. And Snake is an extremely skilled swordsman who is in a current moment where he's not fucking around. So what do you do? And because of that conflict, he feels the vision of Askeladd behind him, kind of taunting him in a way. It's just like, well, here it is, Thorfinn. Well, you said you weren't going to do violence again, so what will you decide now? And kind of like being amused at Thorfinn's decision. Like, what will you make the right choice to be a true warrior? And I love it. I love the conflict, and I love the tension. And it makes this fight feel so much more intense than just Thorfinn going on a killing spree in season 1, because there's so much stakes that have been built up for this confrontation. Even in the beginning of the arc where Thorfinn is going to be killed, and Snake goes to kill him, and he instinctively, stops and throws a kick at Snake. That just is teasing you with the idea that, yeah, probably at some point Thorfinn and Snake are gonna actually fight, and now we got to it, and it's like they did a great like anime thing where like Thorfinn moves, and then they do like the spark in Snake's brain where he's like, oh, it just reminded me of like a little like I don't know, just a classic anime moment. So it's great. Like Thorfinn is like, well, I just need to knock him out, and then we can go and we can escape. And so he tries to do that. He throws that straight jab, and Snake's just like, what is this? Blocks it. Then Snake, swings his sword, and Thorfinn evades that, and they're both like, the fuck? And I love Svedkul's reaction, too, to seeing Thorfinn do, like, a backflip. He's just like, all right. And then it's that moment, man, and Thorfinn, finally, he decides that he's got to do, like, he can't escape. He has to fight in this instance because he's determined to help Arneid, so he goes into a stance of where he would hold his knives, puts his fists up instead. And it's just like the music swells, and it's just awesome, man. It's just great. It's just a great moment. Now, again, like bro, I'm just, oh man. Next episode, I'm going to be in tears, man. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm excited about the next episode in particular. It ended at the worst possible moment. But I'm excited for what happens here, the confrontation and the aftermath. It's going to be insane. So, yeah. If you guys have seen Vinland Saga Season 2, Episode 16, let me know what you thought. I think they did a fantastic job. I love the music placement. And they captured the scenes very, very well, in my opinion. So let me know what you guys think down below. Leave a comment and a like because it will help it in the algorithm. Also, if you want to support the channel on a deeper level, I have channel memberships and a Patreon and a merch store even that you can check out down below, along with all the social media links where you can follow me. Other than that, hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll talk to you next time.